Hey there, everybody. This is me, Kaylee McMahon. You know me, of course, the typical host of Number One Leading Ladies, a podcast by women, for women, where we work to build each other up instead of tear each other down. We have a special guest today, Marielle Walter, and I'm really excited to have her introduce herself because I won't do it justice. Marielle, go ahead.
Hi, Kaylee. Thank you so much for having me today. So I am Marielle Walter. I'm the founder of Powerhouse Real Estate Investing. I am based in Washington, D.C., but I broke into real estate investing. It took me a long time to get here, to be honest. I grew up on an organic vegetable farm in New Hampshire. I knew nothing about real estate, didn't get financial literacy in school, the typical story. It wasn't until my late 20s that I was like, I'm paying crazy rent to live downtown D.C. I want to travel the world. I don't want to be stuck in this office. And I was like, I feel like if I bought a house and I rented some rooms, I could make myself a little apartment and downstairs, and I wouldn't have to pay rent, I wouldn't have to pay mortgage, and I could travel with money I was saving. So I went ahead and I did just that. I knew literally nothing about real estate at all. And so I did. I found this fixer-upper house near a metro, but a little outside of downtown. Made myself my basement apartment, rented rooms. I traveled, I think, 15 countries over the next 2-3 years. Meanwhile, knowing nothing about real estate, but I always thought like this was a good idea. There's something about real estate. Like I've heard good things. The house is appreciating because DC is like an epic appreciation market. So the house appreciates like $100,000 like over a few years. And me from the farm, like I worked at nonprofits for a decade. Like I didn't know this kind of money, so I was just like, what is this real estate thing that nobody told me about? So I replicated, I did it again, and I just figured, I need to just keep doing this because I'm onto something. And at this point, I became obsessed. The second house, the exact same thing happened. Meanwhile, at some point in life, I become a single mom. I'm still house hacking. Obviously, I've set it up very differently, so me and the kid have a lot more space, but, you can rent a basement apartment. You can set up house hacking in a million different ways. I love house hacking, so I'm always happy to ramble about it to anybody who wants to listen. But the same thing with that house, appreciated $100,000. And I was like, this is insane. At this point, all I wanted to do was talk to women about real estate, and I wanted to learn more about it. So I founded Powerhouse Women Real Estate Investing at that point. And it started like friends and family, and then it started to grow, and it started to grow. And it became a community. It's a free Facebook group, and it's open to women, women across the country. There's even women who have joined from other countries. And it's been an awesome platform to be able to connect, to find partners, for me to be able to share education, bring in women who are successful investors to teach and inspire. And on top of that, which we'll be discussing today, we've started doing group investing to really support women in doing their deals. So what's become very unique about this group is supporting women in getting past their limitations and doing deals together. So we've moved past the kind of like informational, educational, Q&A type forum into like doing deals together, building our confidence, building our credibility, and going out and building our portfolios. So I'll stop there, and feel free to ask away.
No, thank you so much for explaining a lot about your story, because I think it's very important for people, women especially. For me, when I had my first American Girl doll, for example, I was like, oh, she looks like me, she's a female, etc. Like hearing your story and then seeing themselves in that story, I think is really powerful. Oh my God, I could do that too. That's awesome that you were able to share that in a very concise way. So a couple of the things that we asked just to get to know you a little bit before we kind of get into the meat of why I wanted to bring you on here is just two things that I want to ask. I'm trying to think which way to ask them first. What would you say so far has been your biggest lesson?
My biggest lesson? Oh my goodness. I don't know. I've learned my biggest lesson just yet. I think partnering with it's a little bit detailed, but I think we've developed a really unique partnership model, and I think there's been a lot to learn about partnering, bringing people in with different levels of expertise, bringing people in with different backgrounds. There's been a lot to learn about how to facilitate a group. And I think so there is definitely an amount of learning that you do and facilitation that you do when you're supporting people in group investing. But one of, I think, our keys to success has really been learning and just accepting when it comes to these types of projects, the importance of your contractor. And one of our biggest lessons, and I think one of the things that I'm proudest of in our model, has been the partnership that we've developed with our contractor. And it was a decision I made early on, just from the lessons. I feel like I learned them through other people. I've definitely had contractors that have been a little bit challenging to work with, but I've never really gotten very burned. But I learned, a lot from other women that I've worked with and talked to who've had their money, run away with and things like that, that from the get-go, I've developed a partnership with our contractor. So we might take away a little bit less because we're cutting him in as a partner, but it's given our projects greater success. So a lot of the lessons I learned, of course, because of the nature of the work I do, are in really how do you build strong partnerships and make sure that everybody is taken care of, and just building that trust between partners, contractor, and everything, I think makes everything quite a bit more successful.
That's a great lesson. And even though, yeah. I can vouch for being on the bad end of that for sure. That's actually why I changed from single to multifamily altogether, because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, y'all don't care about your reputation. I'm going to find a big company that does, So it can change your career.
And I think it helps to set yourself apart somehow, and you can find the right people when you're like, but I'm going to take care of you and you're going to take care of me. And when you see that you're developing that relationship with someone, you're like, ooh, this is someone I'm going to hold on to. You really want to invest in the relationship with that person, and it's, in the beginning, it can be tough and you have to tread lightly. But when you find those people, you hold on tight and make sure that they know you're going to treat them right.
100%. I mean, I think the way that you set it up is really smart, because 100%, I would say real estate is a relationship business, no matter what side of it you're on. It really is. Another question, what would you say has been your biggest win?
Ooh, the biggest one, I mean, honestly, for me, it's been diving into flipping headfirst. And I know that there's people have all kinds of crazy stories about flipping as well, but, it was about 6 months ago that I decided to run the first group flip for the community, the Powerhouse real estate investing community. And we were in the beginning learning together. And we brought in a mentor who had 20 years of experience group flipping. It's like the universe. Like, I swear, when you put something out there and it's like it is your direction, the universe just brings the resources to you. I never even knew that group flipping was a thing, right? And I find this woman who's been doing it for 20 years, and she's amazing, and she mentored us in the first couple of rounds. And it was tough in the beginning. Like, it is not easy to find a good deal when you're brand new. You have to make connections. You have to analyze a ton of deals. You have to make a lot of offers that you don't get, because you might not be making the most competitive offers just yet. But we started from ground zero, and it's been such an awesome experience, because now we're on the fourth, going on to the fifth flip in 6 months, because once we had that, we did a couple and we had that process and we had our contract and we found this great location. It's just like a pipeline, and you go from like an idea and a concept to a business, and that's what's been really fun about this. And the amount of momentum that's picked up with just women's excitement as well, to be able to be like, oh, I can learn how to flip a house in a team. Like, no kidding. I can bring less resources in, right? I can learn from more seasoned investors, and I can, start building that credibility as well and my confidence. And so that, so I started having these goals, all right, I want to do 4 deals in 4 months. And it was 5 deals in 5 months. And it was 6 deals in 6 months. And it seems to just be progressing that way now, and I'm like, oh, it's no longer a goal. It's just a business I've set up, and so that has been a really big win. It's something I enjoy. I really enjoy it. It lights me up, and the women that I've been working with have been excited and empowered as well. And so it's been a fun 6-7 months now, I gotta say.
That sounds like a big win. I mean, just trending back to what you had already said about the fact that this industry is a relationship business, you know what I mean? And then once you do build the good relationships that you need, the momentum is unlimited, I believe. So I think you're starting to see that, which is a huge win. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like setting yourself up somewhere. It's like we were able to build a pipeline. It was like we went from where will we do this? And what's our price point going to be? And what contract will we work with? This is a great location. The price point is fantastic. we have a great contractor. Wow, we found a wholesaler that we just totally love that sends us deals, and it's just been the kind of thing where, and it takes time to go to work at it, and I understand the frustration I speak to with like new investors where they're like, I don't know about this contractor, I don't know about this location, or what about this block, but it's just time you invest. It's like your own personal like life and business university, and starting to explore and starting to really dive deep into a location that you can then make yours. And I know I speak to a lot of women that have really established businesses, whether it's flipping or something else, and they've generally, started and been successful in one location, and then they just start to, to grow and to go into different locations from there. So it's great. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited.
So as far as the ecosystem, there's a couple of things I think I picked up on with, what you need to get going. And I think that you can clarify for me if these are wrong or right. But I think what I heard was what everyone would want to know is where are we going? The criteria for what are we looking for? The team, so the lenders, the contractors, probably, I don't know if it's brokers, but, the whole team, attorneys, etc., to put everything together. The money is part of that process, and then the deal flow. So those all things like kind of in order of like we're developing all these things. Is that kind of how your team building or the group flipping kind of worked, was getting that all together and then boom, now we have the money and the deal flow and we just keep going?
So they've actually all been, they're all different teams that are doing these flips, because I see my role as the facilitator and supporter of women who are new to this.
Yeah.
Right. Like I teach like basically like I bring someone in and support in learning like a basic flip. Like we're not doing anything like totally wild and crazy here. I haven't flipped every house in every market, so I'm not here to try to, say that I can do that, right? But I have now a model that I've been operating, and it's an interesting one, the group flipping model. And for me, I like to expose women who are pretty new. So I've been working with women for their first time flip, or they flipped and it wasn't successful. And they're like, I feel like I'm onto something though. They want to give it another try. And I'm super impressed with women who have been through like a bad run and then want to do it again, because so many people get burned and they just run away. And they're like, no, not for me. Right. It can be. Yeah. It happens to a lot of us. And so, my passion is to be like, all right, like, let's try it again, and it's not to say like, I'm never going to make a mistake. Like, so our process is going to work 100% every time. Right. Like things can come up, but the goal is to try to operate a safer investment because of the infrastructure that we've set up, and try to support women in understanding kind of like a by the book process. Like your deal analysis, like your contractor relations, like your financing, things like that, how to work with a private lender, because like it's often to work with a private lender, over hard money if you can, how to work with your agent, to make sure that, you're pricing it correctly to get it, back on the market to sell, just really the basics of the flip process. And then having women, basically, voting along the way, making some of the critical decisions so they can be active. So what's really cool about this is like, women are joining together, they're learning all of the, key parts of flipping a house, and they're doing it virtually. Like we've had women from like 5 or 6 different states. They've come from different countries even. And it's been very cool. Zoom makes everything available to everyone basically, right? So, these trainings are held on Zoom. These sessions are internal meetings where we ask questions, people share information, and everybody learns from each other, right? Even the people that are new to it, versus the people who are a little bit more seasoned, they all have something to share. They all have great questions that makes everybody think. So the group dynamic, I think, is a really important part of it as well. So then, meanwhile, the contractor is sending me throughout the project different videos to show the work that's being done. I'm sharing that with the women so they can kind of, get a visual for what's being completed. Obviously, that needs to happen before we disperse more money as well for the work. And then, we get to the point where we're getting ready to put on the market. Now, we've had women that are within travel distance of the flips actually go and see the flips and take a tour of Salisbury, Maryland, where we've been doing the flips. And that's been really fun, get to meet the contractor and everything like that. But not necessary. Everybody can still participate, even virtually. At the end of the project, we basically speak with the agent, have our agent join us and kind of talk through comps, why we're thinking of the range that we're thinking to put this house on the market. Take a vote. Are we going ambitious, and trying to get a high price point and see what happens? Are we going to go low and try to get like a bidding war going? There's all these different philosophies, right? I know I'm getting into the weeds, but it's fun. Then we sell. And at that point, I've seen women go and independently start to take on their own flips and bring women under their wing, right, that haven't yet, had exposure. And some women I've seen in our group actually transition and want to go into multifamily investing. And so our group has also started offering additional opportunities, not just flipping, right? It's not, Powerhouse Women isn't just about teaching women how to flip. It's supporting women in getting into all types of real estate investing.
Yeah.
There's just a couple entry points that are, kind of simple, obvious entry points. One's house hacking, flipping is another one. And then there's apartment building investing. And some people go directly into that. Some people, of course, start with smaller investments and work their way up. But what we recognized in the group is that there were women that had an appetite for it, but they didn't have the knowledge yet and the confidence level to start, trying to buy apartment buildings, these larger multifamilies themselves. So we established an 8-week readiness program, recognizing there's a lot to learn about the complex world of multifamily investing. And that was basically to connect. This is a current session that we have about to conclude. I'll just discuss that one quickly. 8 weeks of readiness. We brought in flash mentors, so people who were, quite successful in multifamily investing to share about, analyzing these deals, doing due diligence, financing these deals, capital raising, kind of across the board. And then simultaneously, we're also having internal meetings where the women are able to discuss their, partnership goals, what types of roles they could see themselves playing as they're learning, share deals, share opportunities. And we've already seen, just in this 12-week session, multiple partnerships form and women getting in on each other's deals. There's an 8 unit that a couple women are doing. There's a 167 unit that some of the women are going to LP on. It's really, it's been really cool to see how quickly women are feeling, more comfortable, but also realizing how big multifamily is and finding the space that's right for them to break in. So that's been a really fun kind of transition for women to go into as well once they're feeling kind of comfortable flipping or thinking that they want to diversify. And we've got other initiatives coming. Every time I recognize a need, I generally work to develop a program. So I know there's a lot of women that have an interest in wholesaling in the Powerhouse community. So I'm looking how to support women in learning how to wholesale and, kind of teaming together and hopefully selling deals to the Powerhouse. Powerhouse women selling deals to the Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Women to flip and whatnot. So that's another initiative. So I'm always excited to have new women joining and sharing what their needs are so I can develop, programs to help women overcome their limitations and work together to do those deals.
Yeah. So I think that, everybody has a different place in their journey that they're at, and they may be getting interested in getting up what I like to call the property ladder. So that's how you build generational wealth for good. And how do you get in? Me may have a certain level of, like for me, being in a commercial, a residential retail position where I was selling houses and then having a chunk of change once the house sells to be able to then go invest with, or wholesalers have a chunk of change then they can go invest with, or maybe you have a job that's in a completely unrelated industry and you've learned enough through your program to be able to invest in one or the other. I think then you're on this Y in a road or fork in a road where then you're like, okay, now we need to look at how much time I have versus how much money I have to then figure out which would be the right thing for me. And I believe my understanding is that your program also helps women to understand what their best path would be at that juncture in time, and then say, okay, here's the different opportunities and ways that you can use what you have to go up from here. Is that right?
Yeah, I do kind of see it as like a stepping ladder almost, because we offer a house hacking training as well. That's an entry point that I find is like a very basic entry point, but it's not for everyone, or some people have already done that, but they're still feeling limited and they're not building portfolio, right? So maybe they want to dabble in, flipping, right? They don't want to start a flipping business solo, right, immediately, but they want to test it out, and do it in this kind of like safer environment, right? Or maybe they want to go straight into multifamily investing. And there's people across the spectrum. Some people that will be like, you can go straight into buying a 200 unit building, and other people who think that you should, start with smaller multifamily or something like that. So it's really all about what the woman envisions is comfortable, fun. I mean, honestly, there's a ton of ways to make money.
Yep.
You know, but you have to do something that actually feels fun to you.
Yep.
You know, like some types of commercial real estate might not feel as exciting to some as some types of, you know, flipping businesses. And other people, they don't like flipping. It's too active. There's too much work. Too much can go wrong. I want to be in an apartment building. It's safer. At the end of the day, there's plenty of ways to make money in real estate. And I don't personally like poo-poo anybody else's strategy. I think it's important that women just kind of like feel like what resonates with them, dabble a little bit, and just have that confidence and recognize that, you know, there are ways to partner. I think a lot of times partnerships, doing things solo is tough, you know, when you're getting started. And there's ways to partner. I don't know if safely is the right word, but there's ways to partner where you can, you know, build your relationships prior to signing the paperwork, you know, which is, I think, what's really important about these types of communities. You can start to talk to people. You can start to share your ideas. You can see what people are up to before you're like signing the paperwork. But whenever you partner, you want to sign that paperwork. I don't care if it's like your mom or like your best friend. I think it's always a good idea, right, to have the formal structure. But I just harp on that because I think I've seen so often that just like a fire ignites when women connect with other women and start doing deals together.
Yeah.
And I love that part of.
Yeah, well, it's a safe zone. Like if I wear red lipstick, I don't have to be thinking about what you're thinking about my red lipstick, whatever. If I talk about a boyfriend, I don't have to like even second guess, oh my God, why did I just say that? You know what I mean? Because I'm making your mind go there or whatever. It's a safe space. You know, and some of the issues that we deal with, whether it's, you know, child rearing or how do we find a babysitter while we're flipping, like things that are just different through our lens, we're able to like collaborate together on that. And that's a woman's strength, I believe, is one, within each other, and two, being collaborative. We do like to have everybody have a seat at the table versus like the call I got today from my guarantor. Well, you know, normally I get this much for that. And I'm like, you know what? This was already set up and put together. I already promised them and them and them and them this. Everyone's getting there or whatever. So next deal, you bring the deal, we can renegotiate or whatever. But this is how it is. So everybody gets a seat at the table. I think is something we're great at. And it's a guy, of course. It's the guarantor. But not only the comfort level, I think, but also, you know, the fact that we can work with women in like different stages. And we've all been in one of those stages before. So having this environment is awesome. Now, Marielle, one thing I really like, so for example, if you look at what I do, I'm just a deal person. Like I just go find deals and offer deals. And so I realized there was a huge gap in what I was doing and having women be ready and knowledgeable enough to be comfortable enough to have confidence and then do what they wanted to really do. And so that's why I wanted to reach out to you and talk to you today. And so I can get this in front of my audience and show them that there is a way to stepwise get ready for whatever type of investing that's best for you. And also, if anyone is interested that's reading this or watching this later, how can they get a hold of you and work with you?
Yeah, so you can go to powerhousewomenrei.com. That's our website. We'll also have the Powerhouse Women Real Estate Investing Facebook group. Feel free to find me there. Haley, you're welcome to share, of course, my email with anybody who's interested in learning more as well.
Perfect. Well, I will for sure be doing that, like everywhere, because again,
one thing I do want to just mention is that our programs, whether it's the group flipping or the multifamily investing group, they kick off periodically throughout the year. So I encourage women, and you can do it from the website or from the Facebook group, to get on the waiting lists for the different groups so you can get the information if you're interested in participating in one of those when they become available.
That's great. Get on that waiting list because you won't want to miss out on getting together with other women to make your dreams come true. I mean, really is what this is. Marielle, thank you so much for spending your time today to talk to myself and our audience about what you offer, about how that can obviously impact a lot of ladies who maybe right now need that help. And I look forward to actually having you on here again in the future. And again, everybody that has questions, feel free to reach out to us and let us know anything that you would be requesting from either Marielle or ourselves. Thank you so much today for tuning in. Number one Leading Ladies.
Thank you, Kaylee. It was great to be here. I look forward to connecting soon.